Hey y'all, I'm Danielle. Welcome back to Testimony and Transparency, where I share real life stories about faith, motherhood, marriage, and entrepreneurship, all to encourage you in your walk with the Lord. So, in today's video, I want to talk about something that we haven't talked about much, which is homeschooling. So, I am a homeschool mom. I am actually in my second year of homeschooling, but this is my fourth grade that I have been teaching. And it has been a roller coaster. And so I just briefly want to talk about like how we started homeschooling, the curriculums that we've used, and I want to share with you some lessons as well that I have learned. And so I started homeschooling in April 2024. I had to pull my daughter out of public school. Not going to go into what all happened there, but I had to very quickly pull her out of public school. And so she was in third grade, and I found out about this curriculum. It was an online curriculum called Mia Academy, and I got her signed up for it and went in there to assign her courses and look at the material. And right away, I learned that this child had hardly learned anything that she was supposed to learn according to this curriculum. And it was very scary. So she pretty much had to start third grade from scratch in April because the math, the language, she was just so far behind from what she should have been learning. And then social studies, and science, unfortunately, they weren't even like teaching. It was kind of like in the curriculum, but not how when I grew up to where like you had that as a subject, they didn't. And so we were literally starting third grade from scratch. But fortunately, with Mia Academy, it's an online curriculum, and how it's set up is you have your video and then you have some practice questions. And then at the end, you have a test to test all of your knowledge. And so, really, in third grade, I was more of a support to my daughter. So if she had questions about math or she suffered from like testing anxiety, so I would sit with her and just make sure she understood the question. And it was really a support role. And so we finished third grade in August, and then she went ahead and moved on to fourth grade. We used Mia Academy in fourth grade as well, and all went well. And then we ended fourth grade in, I believe it was March of 2025. She finished her fourth grade early with Mia Academy, and she wanted to move on to fifth grade. She wanted to do fifth grade through the summer. And so I said, well, if this is a goal of yours and if I can help you, like, let's do it. And I noticed right away when she started fifth grade with Mia Academy that it was not going to work. She was getting very, very frustrated. And I want to pause right here before I move on to share just a couple of lessons that when I first started homeschooling, I was trying to set it up to how public school is set up, to what I knew school to be like. And I was very concerned because she was finishing her work fairly quickly. And I'm like, wait a minute, you still got several hours left in the day. Like, you need to be doing work. And really, I had to reprogram my mind that no, we're doing homeschool. We're not doing school at home through public school. We are doing homeschool. This is our school. We're doing this. And so I had to reprogram my mind to where our days were going to look different. It was not going to be work all day long. And so when she would finish her work, then there was electives in the academy that she could take, like Spanish. She took sign language. And there was some other ones as well. But it was a time to figure out what else you're interested in. So she did things like coding music online. There's a free program that I found out about that she did that. She started gymnastics. We did gymnastics during the day. That was in fourth grade. That was in fourth grade. And so our extracurriculars and stuff were during the day. We got involved in a co-op on Thursdays. So she was able to take electives through the co-op that were separate from her four core subjects, and also gave her an opportunity to meet other kids that were doing similar to what she was doing, and for me to connect to parents as well. So that was a big thing, was just reprogramming my mind that no, she don't have to be up at 7 o'clock to go to school. The school is right here. If she needs to get extra rest, then praise the Lord, she can get extra rest. So then when she does wake up, she's refreshed. And so the days just looked so different. And it wasn't, okay, I have to make sure that I'm doing it like the school is doing it. That was a very hard thing to overcome because as a parent, you want to make sure your child is getting the best education, that they're learning everything they need to learn to be successful. And so I really had to just let go of what I knew, how I did school and how she had started doing school to we're going to do school on how what works for us. And so some days we don't get to do school because there may be something that I have come up, maybe we have some appointments, maybe the field trip went too long and so we're just not going to get to do the school today and that's okay. We don't have a super strict schedule. I try to teach her during a certain time frame just because that works best with my work schedule. But sometimes that doesn't work and we still make it happen. I think the biggest thing is homeschool is not supposed to be something that is supposed to, like, you have to fit into it. I think the best thing about homeschool is you make it fit whatever works for you. And with that being said, whatever curriculum you go with, make sure it works for your child and make sure it works for you too. With the Mia Academy, it was working very well until it wasn't. And the good thing about it is you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to finish out that curriculum if it's not working at all for you. Like, you don't have to stress yourself and be like, "Oh, we started this, we have to finish it." No, if it's not working, it's not working. And so when the Mia Academy wasn't working for me anymore, I wasn't in a place to where I had done any research on other curriculum. And so what I did is I just went to ChatGPT and I pretty much had ChatGPT help me come up with a curriculum plan of what we were going to learn week by week. So I was pulling from YouTube videos. I was pulling from different websites online that had worksheets. I was having ChatGPT kind of give me a teacher lesson to where I could teach something because a lot of people are like, I could never do that. You know what? I didn't think I could either. But when you have resources and you know how to use your resources, you can do just about anything that you set your mind to do. I was teaching this girl about science and social studies and stuff that I totally forgot about, right? And I had ChatGPT like help me with lesson planning. And what I learned through that process is how my daughter enjoys learning best. And for her, it's shorter lessons because let's face it, when you're learning something, especially as a kid, when it's taking so long, you just start to tune out. And so even though you're there, you're not really paying attention. So what I learned for her is short lessons work very well and engagement is very well. So her just kind of getting information and just having to do like a quiz or something on it just to check to make sure you knew really wasn't the best way for her. And so what I started doing is I started teaching her and then we would have a whole conversation and I would ask her questions and get her talking and get her to explain it in her words. And it worked out so well for us. And so that's how we did 5th grade. And I encourage you really figure out your child's learning style and feed off of that because that was that really let me know throughout 5th grade, like, she was really learning stuff because she could repeat it back to me, of course, in her own words, and if I saw her struggling with it, then we could spend some additional time on it because, again, there's not a whole classroom to where we gotta keep everybody on a strict schedule because we gotta hurry up and move on to this. If you get a little behind, it's okay. It's okay. We've been behind a little bit in our 6th grade curriculum, and so some days we are having to double up a little bit. Some stuff which okay, so let me move on. So 6th grade, I decided I wasn't being the lesson planner anymore. It was a lot of work. I enjoyed it. I'm thankful that I got a chance to experience that, but it wasn't going to be something that I was going to do again. If I had to, sure, but I wasn't volunteering like, okay, this is how I want to do our homeschool. No. So, what I did for sixth grade is I started researching different curriculums and I landed on Masterbooks. So, we still use the same workbook that we used for math in fourth grade or I'm sorry, math in fifth grade. That worked very well for us. And so I purchased it again for sixth grade. But for the other subjects, language, science, and history, I purchased the curriculum through Masterbooks. And if you get the teacher guide, it has all the worksheets that go with it. And it also has like, okay, on this day, do these pages with these worksheets. And they're very short lessons. And so with the worksheets, I've kind of gotten to the point to where at first I was like, oh, this is cool, the worksheet. I'll have her write her answer down. But again, remember your child. I'm like, she does really well when she engages and gets to talk. And so, yes, there's an opportunity to where sometimes she is going to have to write the answers, but when we're talking about like science and history and whatnot, it's a very informal conversation of just learning. And it works really, really well for her. Now the language, she is having to write with that. And then some of the assignments for history, she has a writing piece to it. But pay attention to what's working well. I will ask my daughter every now and then, like, hey, what do you really like about what we're doing in homeschool? And then I'll ask her, hey, is there anything you'd like to do differently in homeschool? And sixth grade, it's been, well, really fifth and sixth grade, since I've really paid attention more to her learning style and catered the lessons towards that. She's loving it. She's excelling. She's doing great. And so again, don't try to box yourself in to what everybody else is doing. What works for one family may not work for your family because you two are different. Parents teaching are different, and then your children are different. And so don't box yourself in. It's not something that is supposed to be like, we have to do it this exact way. There are certain things depending on what state you live in to where, yeah, like I live in Kentucky, so got to send that letter of intent at the beginning of the year. Can't really get around that. You can't really get around needing to teach the four subjects. In Kentucky, these are the four subjects you're required to teach. But you get to choose how your child learns those subjects and what activities you do or don't do. And so don't try to box yourself in. Don't try to make it look like how everybody else is looking because you have an entirely different life and family than those people do. And so that once I figured out I'm gonna do this for what works for us, it was like so much more enjoyable. So the last lesson that I'll mention, and I'll just kind of touch on it because a lot of times people will talk about the curriculum and they will talk about like the schedule and well, how do you do this and how do you find that? And if y'all have questions, definitely drop them in the chat and I can help you. I've only been doing this for 2 years, but I'm in my fourth grade of teaching, which is crazy to me. We started in April 2024 and it's October 2025. This is our fourth grade that we've done together. And it's been challenging, but it has also been very encouraging. It's been a blessing. I couldn't imagine not doing it. So many positive things from it. But I do want to mention the behavior aspect of it because you are with your child all day long, and it is a blessing. It's a blessing that you know they're safe, you know what they're hearing, you know what they're seeing, you know what they're doing, but that does come with some pushback. And so I experienced this and it got really bad. I was experiencing this during a time when I had a lot of mom rage. You know, where you're just yelling and you have zero self-control. Anything can just set you off. And I finally got to a point to where I was like, if you're not going to be willing to learn and be respectful during our lesson, then we're just not going to be able to do it. And I would send her to her room to calm down and she would come back. And sometimes she still would not want to do it. So you go back to your room and then, if you have to go a third time, then this just isn't going to happen today. And unfortunately, since you didn't get your work done, you're not going to be able to get to do anything. And so when they sit with that for a couple of times, we don't really have those issues anymore. I do want to mention this because while homeschooling is a blessing, there are so many opportunities and so much that you'll learn too. Not just teaching your child, but like so much stuff that you'll learn. You guys will grow together, make wonderful memories together. But there are going to be some behavioral issues. And that's really how I dealt with it. Earlier today, she had to go upstairs for 10 minutes and come back with a better attitude. But that doesn't really happen that often anymore. And I'm thankful for that because that's a challenge. That is a challenge with homeschooling, and I have learned, that when you set it up to, "Hey, if we're gonna experience this negative behavior, this is the consequence. 10 minutes to cool down. Okay, you get another try. If we're still gonna experience this, maybe you get 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And then the third time, if we're still having a problem, we just gonna try again tomorrow. And that's what works for me. Everybody may not agree with that, and that's okay. The beautiful thing about homeschooling is you do it your way. And that is so cool to me. So cool. Because as parents, we are the ones who want the best for our child more than anybody other than the Lord. We want the best for our child. We know our children the best. And especially in such a world to where there's so many evil agendas being pushed onto these children as early as kindergarten, it really allows us to have that control over what our children are learning and how they're learning it, and also who they're around. And so with homeschooling, you just have a lot more control over it. But, anyways, I hope this was helpful. I tried to share a little bit of our journey and background, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and share some lessons along the way. So, if y'all have any questions, let me know. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye. I love y'all.